and welcome back to AEF TV in association with Engerati. I'm now joined by Keith Webb from Himoinsa. And Keith, firstly, welcome. Thank you for making the time to be with us today. I remember we did an interview, not with you, but with Himoinsa last year at AEF. A lot of things have happened within your organizations. Just tell us a little bit about where you are now and how you're seeing your approach to the African power market as well.
The important difference between last year and this year is we're now part of the Yanmar group from Japan, which gives us access to larger engines, because Yanmar they're an engine manufacturer. They build engines for vessels, ships and agricultural machinery. So what we'll see over the coming years is a move of these engines into the industrial generator market. So that's an important change for us. It puts us on the same footing as the larger manufacturers such as Caterpillar, who have their own engine brand. So that's an important move for the company. We're all very excited about it. So. Yeah.
And what does what does that mean for you when you look at the opportunities within the African power market in terms of the solution that you sell, and one of the unique things about you guys is you sell, you don't rent.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
So how does that work differently? Because instinctively I would say that rental is OPEX and selling is CapEx. Yeah. So is there more appetite for CapEx?
Well, I think the important thing for Africa especially is that when you buy your own equipment, you're keeping, your initial capital expenditure may be higher, but after that, the money stays inside the country. You're not dripping every month millions of dollars out of the country paying for expensive equipment. So by keeping the money in the country, it's the same thing as buying your own car or buying your own house. That creates a wealth inside the country. You're not constantly dripping it out. So for me, that's fundamental.
But when you then look at it from an affordability point of view, I mean, a lot of the reasons why people are attracted to, maybe on a personal level, credit cards and things like that. I can have the big thing, the big toy now, and I can pay with it over time.
Yeah, that's a very Dubai thing, isn't it? I can have the big toy now, buy now, pay later. But we all know from an economic point of view, it's not always the best solution. It has a fit, definitely, but long term.
And you're seeing an appetite for that in terms of what you're doing within Africa?
Yeah, I mean, our business model is very much distributor based. So we go from the full range of gensets. We're not just power plant providers. So we do from the 3 kVA machine for a shop or a camping trip or whatever, all the way up to 3,000 kVA in one machine. We've got gas range, we've got diesel, we've got HFO coming in the near future. So we have, we can supply that full range, and what we see now, we have a few projects coming online in Sudan that are in that 2-3 megawatt size for local markets, that fit into areas that don't have distributed power.
So are you saying that what you're seeing on the ground is that there are areas which aren't grid connected that are going, right, okay, well, we need to take the power assurance into our own hands, so we're going to go out to manufacturers of generators or solar or whatever, and we're going to do it because we're tired of waiting. Is that the...
Well, yeah, I mean, and we're ideally positioned to do that kind of thing. We can give you, a small power plant, and exactly right, because the infrastructure connections for a grid is immense. So some places can't wait long enough, and it's too expensive to link some places to the grid, and maybe never will be linked to the grid, especially in Africa. Certainly.
And in terms of again going into technology and sort of efficiency side of things as well, I mean, we are. Where is the technology evolution? Because there are a lot of people getting very excited about the fact that the price of solar has dropped so much and so on, and it's now got parity and all those great words.
Yeah.
But how do you see the landscape? You know, will you guys ever look at potentially having some sort of partner programs or out-the-box hybrid solutions to blend all this power?
Yeah, I mean, we've already got a hybrid solution. We're showing it at the exhibition here today. It's basically aimed at the telecom market, but it's also very suitable for small businesses. It blends wind power, solar, and battery power. So
it comes from the telecom market. What problem was it trying to solve there?
Well, telecom towers are often not connected to the grid because of where they need to be to cover certain areas. So they require generators to power the transponders and things. So, but you've got to go and maintain those generators every day. So the longer interval between maintenance, the cheaper the solution, basically.
So the telecoms industry was saying, look, if we just keep running that on a carbon fuel, whichever one you've chosen, and that is the sole source of generation, that is one, very expensive, and two, keeps this beast running the whole time, which creates a different load. So why not blend it?
That's right. So we have a product that actually allows the solar power to charge the batteries. Or the wind power to charge the batteries, and if you need it, the generator will start.
Right.
And that way. But basically, you're feeding the batteries. So it's the same principle as hybrid cars these days. You've got a small engine charging a battery pack, and it only kicks in when you need it.
Yeah. So what does that give? I mean, in terms of performance, just so that we can articulate that. If you go from, let's say, where none of the economics stacked up and we just had a diesel or a gas turbo, what does that do to the economics in terms of like lifetime maintenance and power costs?
It's really, I don't have the numbers on my fingertips, but the service interval goes from something like every 10 days to every 40 days.
Right, so that's significant.
Yeah,
already.
So that becomes, that's a quarter of your service cost. Now, for remote places, most of the cost is for the guy driving out there for a whole day to get there and fill it up every 1,000 hours with fuel. So if you go 4,000 hours without having to go and fill up with fuel or change a filter,
there's an operational cost saving right there.
Absolutely, yeah.
And then the other one is pretty obvious because you aren't burning the expensive fuel the whole time.
Exactly,
Okay, so well, that's interesting because it just comes back to another narrative that's been going all the way through, where people are waking up to this sort of hybrid power, or my words, blended power solution, and using technology to keep the stack going. If I can now bring us back down to AEF, where we are today, and you've spent, it's nearly a day and a half now here. What are some of the conversations that you're having which give you encouragement for the sector you're in, and perhaps also maybe you'd like to talk about some of the ones which are still a cause of frustration? You're like, I can't believe we're still having to explain this, or whatever it is.
Yeah. I think the distribution, the power distribution, is still a big conversation. It's such a big investment. Of course, it's a major obstacle for many countries. So for me, that's the main one. The fuel mix is changing. There's a lot of gas coming online. We're thinking of Ghana right now, so the fuel mix is changing, and people are recognizing that the diesel solution is. It's an expensive
right?
one. Yeah, it is. Yeah. And we all know that. So it's not sustainable, really, is it? We have to get away from that to cheaper solutions. Otherwise, what I was saying earlier, the money keeps going out of the economy.
And with that change, and you touched on it earlier, is that also another pressure on the distribution grids and getting this, and how do you solve that issue? I mean, that's a bit of a mammoth task, right?
It is. It's not really my field distribution, but I think that boils down to aid plans and the investment plans from the first world.
Yeah, but you would corroborate what other commentators are saying, that actually we really need to focus on this distribution issue to solve the problem. Just a final question before we run out of time, and I'm not going to ask you about distribution and ask you to comment on things which aren't your area of expertise, but bringing it back down to what you guys do in terms of the technology, and now being part of a bigger organization. What are some of the roadmaps that you're excited about in terms of product that you can maybe bring to market that you've already seen a need for? Just give us an idea of the type of product that is being asked for within the African context.
A lot of the requirements that we see are small-scale generators. The hybrid unit that I've already mentioned is something that is going to be very important there. The HFO development is also going to be important, simply because of the availability of fuel in the coastal regions. It's the same thing that you put in ships, so it's available. So those are the products that we're keen on bringing into the market, and we will be pushing through. We're already expanding our dealership networks throughout Africa. We have a big focus on that right now. We're actively looking for new dealers in every country in Africa.
So every single country is
we will be
open for you, right?
They're open. We've already established with subsidiary in Angola. South Africa is something that we're looking at very closely now. We have dealerships in maybe 10 of the countries already in Africa, but there are many countries still open for us, and as what we like to think as a premier supplier.
Right.
There are opportunities.
And now with being part of a bigger company, again, less risk and all that side of things. Well, Keith, it's been a pleasure having you. Thank you as well for watching. It's another interview with AF TV in association with Engerati. We hope you enjoyed it. Thanks again.